been like, okay, well, I do want to make a certain amount of money by a certain point. But the biggest thing that I need to try to continue to focus on is being healthy. This is going to take me some time. And I know guys in my life that they've sacrificed their health because they had to do their certain things to make a certain amount of money. And as much as, I mean, that's shit, you're rich now, whatever, maybe you can now take care of your health. I focus on my health because like, I know that once I have all this money, right, I want to be as healthy as possible to do with what I want to do with it. Another thing is when I think about kids, because I've talked about that multiple times. I don't have kids. I'm 29 and I don't have kids yet, right? But I have no problem waiting 5 or 6 more years to have kids because I know that I'm dealing with my health right now. I'm focusing on how healthy I am. And even though to some people I'd be an older dad, I wouldn't physically be an older dad. I'd be a guy that's in his 30s with the body of a 20-something-year-old, with the movement, with the energy of a 20-something-year-old because of the things that we're focusing on here. And by the time I'm in my 50s, I'll still be in the body of a 30-something-year-old. Like, I won't be old. People won't even think I'm old because people always talk about anti-aging and all that type of shit. But the shit that we're doing is actually the real anti-aging shit. The working out, the focusing on movement, the focusing on being able to have good cardiovascular health. These are the things that are going to keep us vibrant when we get into for me, when I get into my 30s, but when you get into your 50s and 60s, you're still going to be able to fucking run. And you're going to have great bone density and you're going to be strong. You're not going to be your average 60-year-old. You're not going to be your average 40-year-old. You know what I mean? Right now, like, even your back's getting better. You are quite literally aging backwards because of the shit that we're continuing to do on the podcast. So when you're in your 40s, you're going to be feeling better than you did when you were 25.
Yeah.
This is anti-aging, not a fucking supplement or a pill. It's the shit that we're doing right now.
Or a machine or,
Or a
like
machine.
some fucking lasers or some shit.
Yeah.
2 comments that I just wanted to point out on the IG reel that we posted up. They were both
the ab one?
No. The human capacity, like you should be able to at least, I think we said like walk or run a lap.
Yeah.
It was very minimal things. Hang for 30 seconds. Somebody was just like, yeah, I always wanted to be able to like hang for a long time because I always imagined like, what if I had to hang on like at the edge of a cliff? And I'm like, dude, as a kid, I used to think about that all the time. So there was that, and then someone else said that they train to run marathons in case something happens and they have to run 26 miles for shelter or food. And I was like, fuck, like yeah, like I'd be struggling because I'd have to walk, but at least I could walk.
Would die.
I would have to walk, right?
Yeah, imagine
we could
him.
walk. Yeah, we could get there, but
Imagine you're like in Nebraska or some shit. Your car breaks down and you got to go 10 miles one way and 10 miles another to get back to the car to give it gas or to
yeah,
get a little food to your family or whatever, right? I mean,
10 seconds.
you wouldn't necessarily have to be able to run the whole thing,
Yeah.
but it would be helpful so that you can move a little faster.
But real quick, what Andrew said, that's why I find rock climbers or individuals who do bouldering.
Yeah.
That's why. That's
Did either one of you guys see The Alpinist? Is that how you say it? Alpinist?
the alpinist.
Alpinist?
No, I've never seen it. What is it?
It is a sick fucking movie. Be careful how much stuff you look up on it, though, Andrew, because you don't want to.
No
But
spoilers.
no, it's fucking awesome.
I found a trailer.
So wait, what's it about?
It's
Will we
about-
get copyrighted if we show the trailer?
No, it's
it's a trailer, so we should be okay.
it's the sickest motherfucker ever. This guy,
Oh God,
he's climbing with a fucking pickaxe.
is that why you're saying be careful?
With no like, he doesn't have any like things attached. Wow.
No, he's like, what's cool is we've been talking on this show for so long about interpretation and how everything's so that's the motherfucker they did the other documentary on, the famous climber.
Oh, he's from Sacramento, I think.
I forget what that did. I
Like
can
a free climber, right?
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, free solo.
Free solo. There we
Yeah.
go. So that guy talks about how nuts this guy is. The guy they just showed right there with the little afro going on.
He went to
Kinda
my
looks
high
like-
school.
He looks like raw meat experiment.
He does look like raw meat experiment.
Yeah, he does, right? Look at him hula hooping like a motherfucker.
Let's go.
But what's cool is everyone talks about how crazy he is and the things that he does and how dope it is. First of all, he doesn't film half the stuff that he does. And even when they're making this movie, he wouldn't even allow them to film a lot of stuff. He just goes dark for a while. He doesn't even communicate with them. He doesn't talk to them. And he just goes and like the most epic climb of all time. It's just wild. But when they ask him about it, he's just like, this is what I love to do. Like, he doesn't make anything of it. He's not like, oh my God, like you wouldn't even believe how hard this last one was. Or he like broke the free solo guy's record one time. He just went out. He didn't even know there was like a record. He just went and like climbed this mountain. Wow. And he got like this time, and he gets to the top, and everyone's like, you just crushed the record by like 3 minutes. He's like, what record? He's like, there's a record for this, you know? And he just, he's just an explorer. He's just having a lot of fun. And you find that, you'll see that time and time and time again. And I mentioned this before, Anderson Silva, one of my favorite fighters of all time. They went to his house in Brazil. He has beautiful house, beautiful cars, beautiful everything. And he was the champ for a long time. They asked him, hey, how'd this come to be? He's like, it just is. You know, I've been doing this since I was a kid. Like, he made it sound like no sweat. And you're like, really? What's the secret? Give me the secret, you know? But there isn't a secret. It's just, these guys are just good at what they do.
Yeah, and they love it. So it's funny.
They love it.
This could segue into what we were talking about before we got on air. But my dad officially like retired again because of like, he's just like has to be there for my mom and like take her to different appointments and stuff. So he officially like, all right, I'm done. So what does this fucker do? My parents' backyard is just full of like car parts and like project cars, because that's just car dudes. That's just how we roll. And he went from waking up at like 5 a.m. to go to work every single day to waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the backyard to do literally the exact same thing he was getting paid to do, only now he's just doing it for free on his own shit. And he plain and simply said, it's what I love to do. And he's left it at that. It's like, fuck, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Dad, is that hard to get in there and get behind that engine and do that? He'd be like, what? Why are you asking me that, son? Like, it's not hard.
Yeah, he's like, you know, he's just like me. He's like slender, except like maybe probably like less, 20 pounds less. But he's like moving whole cars because that's just what he has to do. And this man took a body off of one car, took the frame, put it under another car all by himself. Car dudes are like, oh yeah, you can do that. But like, this guy is 68 years old and he's doing it in grass, uneven everything, you know, like fucking Black Widows all over the place. He's like, yeah, it's just what I love to do. It's like, all right, I guess so.
I think Nsima said the term earlier about valuable human. Like we're encouraging you to possess some of these abilities. But I would even kind
halfway
of
there
ride the line a little harder and say, like, I don't think you're a valuable human if you can't do stuff physically. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to set the bar really high for you, because your bar is your bar and that's up to you. But everyone should be able to admit that they have weaknesses, and everyone should be able to admit that they can make progress in nearly just about anything. There's always like caveats to that, and there's always like people with handicaps, and there's people with like mental disorders and things like that. So I don't want to bash on any of that, but most of us are pretty functional, and most of us are abusing our own ability, and I'm guilty of this myself, of our own capabilities. Like things for me, I don't read, but that doesn't serve me well. Just to say that I can't read or I have trouble reading, it's foolish. I should actually just fucking read. It would be beneficial.
And no, like when you say you don't read, because of what you just said, like the valuable human thing, you still listen to a lot of books, and you still listen to a lot of you listen to a lot of books, you listen to a lot of seminars, you listen to a lot of speeches and stuff. So you are still consistently learning. It's just for you, reading isn't your best conduit to be able to learn certain things. And that's it. You know, but you're still out here fucking learning shit. And with what you just said right there, as far as like you're not valuable, like, for some people, they're going to say, easy for you guys to say, you've been working out since you were a kid. You played sports. I've been playing sports since I was 6. I've been working out since I was 13. So for me, the physical culture has been a big part of my life. But even so, I still have things outside of like working out that I like to do, that I like to read. But I do think that just having that physicality aspect to myself, which I'm eternally grateful for my mom for putting me in sport, because she put me in sport, but I also had a big emphasis on academics. That has given me a back behind the scenes level of confidence in myself, because I don't feel weak. Like physically, I feel like a strong human being. And I'm not just talking about lifting bars. Like I feel like since I have that skill, it's allowed me to go into other areas and improve those other areas in my life as far as like my mind and my ability to do other things. And I think that generally, you know, if you're an individual, because like you just mentioned, you need to find something that truly interests you, like your dad, Andrew, right? For some people, the things that interest them are video games. And I used to play a lot of video games. And I right before college, I deleted the accounts on certain games that I had that were like MMORPGs because I'm like, if I continue to try to build my character in this fake world and continue investing my time here, I'm not going to be able to really invest my time into being a valuable human
Halfway
being.
there.
I need to get rid of this. I still do play games on my PS5, but single player shit, just because it doesn't take as much time investment. And I know people are also going to mention there are people out here that make money with video games, real good money. Streamers, streaming is huge. But even in that sense, I think there's a level of confidence that you still have if you're like an individual that streams games and the game things is what you like to do, but you also have a strong physical aspect to yourself. We cannot deny that having just some physical confidence will make you confident as a guy. Like you need to develop that. You can't just sit around and game. And even if you're making money with it, there's something that it's that you can't replicate here. It's the real world. You can't replicate it.
Yeah,
There's a physical side of things, and there's a mental side of things, and then there's like a metaphysical, spiritual side of things. And I think, and there could be other stuff that I'm kind of missing, but those are fundamental, and you need to have all of them kind of in place. And if you're pulling so hard in one direction, you're missing out on some other things. So when you're trying to be as strong as possible, or you're trying to, bodybuild or something like that, you might be missing out on some of the mental side of things, or the physiological, or the physical, or the emotional side of things. You might be missing out on some other aspects, like where you kind of get like the meathead guy, and you're like, this. We've interviewed people like this before. We've had people on the show, and they have world records, and we're like trying to get more stuff out of them, but there's nothing there because all they did was focus on their strength. And some people communicate better than others. Some people have better stories and things like that. But for the most part, we've seen that. More recently, I was communicating with Pete Rubish, and he's talking about this kind of transformation that he's undergone and how he's excited. He's going to go back to the USAPL. He's waiting till he's drug free for 3 years, and he's going through this whole thing, but he's loving lifting. He's loving what it means to him now. And he's like, I kind of went, some of your route. And so he and I were going back and forth on that. And I kind of mentioned to him, I was lucky because I met Andy at such a young age that although I did get lost in the numbers, and I did trade out probably my original passion for trying to reach like some sort of glory or something like that at some point. And I got lost in the shuffle somewhere along the line. It was only for like a second. And then I was able to recalibrate and make more sense of it. And then ultimately I got hurt to the point where I always say that pain is the ultimate teacher. It's my mentor,
Halfway there.
So falling with that weight helped me to kind of recalibrate and get back in line with what I was doing. But my whole point is, and I think a lot of what we're going to talk about on this show today, is you have to have done some stuff in your life to think that you're something. You can't just have a positive affirmation. You can't just have mommy telling you that you're great and that you're beautiful and that you're a special kid. You actually have had to do some of those things in the real world and get admiration, and you need to like feedback from other people. You need like proof that you have actually done something. I know it sounds kind of weird, but you need pats on the back from other people. Some people have never hit a home run. Some people have never scored a touchdown. Some people never scored a goal in soccer. When you're on a soccer team for a couple of years and you're one of the leading scorers or leading defenders, you and everybody else is well aware of it. And the other team is well aware of it. The other team watches tape and they're going, who's this guy? all that stuff plays into like your confidence and your value. Are you more valuable than the other people on the team? Yes, in that sense you are, because of the game that it is. They even will call you the MVP, the most valuable player. You're not the least valuable player. You could find the person on the team that's the least valuable player, as mean as all this kind of sounds to be. But there's a lot of things that go into